saw a recent interview where you said, like, our responsibility isn't to necessarily change the world, but to provide the soundtrack for the world changing.
That's right.
It seems like when y'all first came out, like 94, 95, that y'all were trying to change the world.
Yeah.
What happened specifically for your purpose to shift in that way?
I don't think our purpose shift. I just think that you got to understand, when you the first, you got to fight all the battles that made it easier for everybody else in the city to live. And I think that a lot of times you got to look, man, Goody Mob came out, was the first group from the South to be banned from television and a lot of radio stations. So for us, man, you know, you got to understand, man, we done put the fight on our back for so long that sometimes we just look around and say, hey, man, who gonna pick up that cross and put it on their back, man? And it's only been a few that's tried to do what we've done. You know what I mean? So, and you gotta understand, this is the path that we took. Most won't be able to run down that street. You know what I mean? Because they wasn't built like that. You know what I mean? You gotta understand, we didn't have the advantages of the internet. We didn't have the advantages of all this technology. So, you know, the things that we had to do it. You know, we had to beat the concrete. So, you know, when these kids can just do a song in their grandmama front room, and then tomorrow people in London know them, we didn't have that, you know, advantage. So, you know, the bumps, the scars, and the things we had to do to get to here, you know, sometimes you get tired. You get tired, and you look around and you be like, yo, man, ain't nobody saying nothing. And everybody's supporting everybody not saying nothing. So why I'ma say something? Because then I'm gonna be put into the same box that I've always been in. I've always been blackballed since the day you heard my first record. So for me, I'm just like, it's been a fight. It's been a fight, but at the same time, we was able to make sure that Outkast became the popular, you know, the one out of our crew that became popular to people. And you gotta look, Outkast never dealt with political issues. That was always Goody Mob. That's why they sold more records.
They stayed out the mess.
Come on, man. You know what I mean? You gotta remember, man, Goody Mob was standing up there next to Minister Farrakhan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We stood beside the people that people don't like you to stand beside. So, you know, once you do that, you have to carry the cross and also bear the negative that comes along with it, whether it's right or wrong.
One thing I was always curious about, cause like even the day I bought the tape, I remember the sticker on there saying hardcore with a conscience. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, there was a time where it's like, you know, there was music out there, whether it was, you know, like you, Public Enemy. Hell, I remember damn Paris was kind of popular for a bit. They were playing Paris on Rap City. I'm like, what? Yeah. So it's like why is it now that, you know, it seems like, you know, that kind of music cannot be on a major label platform?
And can I piggyback off that, because I really want to get your opinion, and just, I completely agree with you, but even you said something earlier talking about how artists aren't saying anything and artists are supporting other artists not saying anything. And a guy that I know you appreciate, because I've heard you speak on that, Young Thug, over the weekend at BET Hip Hop Awards. I asked him about Mike Brown and the Ferguson situation, and essentially he said he doesn't feel it's an artist's place to speak on social issues.
See, you know why? Because somebody's told him that. Somebody who puts some records out that told him that. Most of the time, probably his superior that you see standing beside him told him that. And what he told him, he said, hey man, when you speak on political issues, put a ceiling over your head. You scare corporate America, and right now, what? The only people that got money is corporate America. You got to remember when Goody Mob came in, we used to perform for drug dealers in the back of their house in Mississippi for the weekend. Yeah. It was the culture was supported by the streets. Now the culture is supported by corporate America. So that means when you walk in the door, they give you a piece of paper. You can't say that. You can't say that. You can't say that. And they tell the people that's running these record labels, don't teach that. You're killing yourself. Why you think people like Nas don't say stuff like that? Why you think, you know what I mean? It's a lot of artists out here that comes from my culture and comes from my time. And you know what? The people that's in control of their careers will tell them, hey man, as soon as you open your mouth, know that they're going to turn you off. It's a different game now, man. It's a different game, man. And especially, and look at this, man. And I only use it because it's true. Why you think Jay-Z is looked at as the best? Because he says nothing. He has no opinion about nothing. All he can do is tell you about his dope stores. You buy it, you buy it. I'm telling you, man, this is not a game now. When we came in, it was a free fall.
Yeah.
It was a free fall, and people were letting you do your thing. Now, when you come in the door, before somebody let you do you, they want you to do what they want you to do.
Right. Like Reese said though, like Reese mentioned a valid point. Like there was a time when you had artists speaking truth, you had artists, speaking black nationalism, the whole nine, and they were selling 2-3 million records and they were touring the world. Why do we not have that anymore?
You don't have that anymore because you're not gonna get on the radio. And what these record companies tell you these days, if you're not on the radio, you're not selling records. So you gotta understand, during them times, that's when L.A. Reid used to give us our money and say, man, look, y'all go back to the dungeon, do what y'all do, and I'm gonna put it out. Now that's not the case. Now they come in and sit with you and do every song with you and be like, you shouldn't say that. Well, let's write that out and put this in. See, it's about putting you in the box before you even get out the box.
Damn.
It's about control. It's not about freedom. So it's almost like when you come out and you put your real thoughts out here, hey man, people you piss some people off and you make some people silent enemies. This the real game we living in now.
So that said, man, I mean, like you're.
I was about to say that was like a gazillion pounds what you said just now.
But now it's like like you're like, at the end of the day, like you're for the most part you're still in the game. You know what I'm saying? It was actually a surprise because one of my homegirls was like, Gipp working on the album. Like, oh for real? When? Like it is on the face. I'm like, hold on, when did that happen?
Yeah.
So like you're in the game now. Like tell us about this album and hell. Like shit, did they come at you like that? Like no, Gipp, don't do that.
Let me tell you what I did. What I did was, while Cee-Lo was in the studio working on his new album, I went in the broom room and I called one of my homeboys. I said, man, while he doing this thing, he over there singing, doing this thing, let me see what I can come up with. You know what I mean? So I just went in the studio and just started working. And since we've been on the road for about 3-4 years all over the world, I just started putting down some of the thoughts and some of the things that was going through my mind. I did the record in 2 months. And I knew when I did the record, I said, hey man, the only one that's gonna let me put this record out the way that I did it is L.A. Reid. So when I went to New York, I called, even before New York, what I did was I called 3,000. I said, 3, I got some music. I ain't really never asked you to hear nothing or listen to anything I did personally, but I want you to hear this. He came over, he listened to half the album, he cut it off, he said, I'm gonna call L.A. in the morning. When I got to New York, L.A. called me to the office. I let L.A. hear 2 records. I let him hear this record called Gold, Shine Like Gold with CeeLo Green on it, and I let him hear a record that I did by myself called Paint Your Walls. He cut it off and said, welcome home. And the reason why he did that, because he knew that he didn't have to coach me. He knew that I know exactly who I am. He said, hey man, I signed you when you was 19 years old, straight out the street. Now I'm signing you again 20 years later because you know what? You're not the same artist that I signed when you was 19. And a lot of people that hear me talking through this mic, the music is totally different than what you've ever heard me do because of the experiences that I've been going through. And also just the time and the things that I've learned. I went out and did a whole 3-4 years with Nelly and was on Dirty N.T., sold millions of records with him, had a #1 record, went to 8-9 countries and performed for sold-out crowds. So, when Cee-Lo was doing Nas Barkley and I was over there doing grills with Nelly, we ran into each other like BMI Awards in New York. And it was funny because he came in with Danger Mouse and all the Nas Barkley, and I came in with Dirty N.T., Nelly, and Ali, and Berkeley. And it was so funny. As soon as we seen each other, we walked up to each other and we started fixing each other clothes. And we hadn't seen each other in about a year, almost 2 years, because we had been apart. Yeah. So everybody in that room stared at us that day, and they said, "Y'all gonna do another Goody Mob album?" And we said, "Yeah, we're gonna do another Goody Mob album." But see, I'm gonna let y'all know about the Goody Mob album. Goody Mob album would have been totally fine if people didn't want to put if the laws of the land today didn't apply. See, when we put the Goody Mob album, Atlantic was like, I don't know if I can get down with this. We a pop label. Look at our artists. Bruno Mars, B.O.B., and et cetera, et cetera. This is pro-black. I'm gonna put that out. So what we gonna do, since y'all finished the album, y'all go ahead and put the album out independent. Y'all can have it. We won't support it, but we'll put it out. So is it our fault? And again, you got people that's in the middle like, see, every time we try and put it on our back, we suffer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We suffer. And we better than that. So it's almost like, hey man, I'm glad that we got artists now like Lil Rory that let the younger generation speak the frustrations. If this generation is gonna watch stuff like Ferguson and all that kind of stuff go down and don't say nothing, then what are the elders gonna do about it? Because as soon as we say something about it, it's a group of other people on the other side of the room saying, y'all some haters.
Yeah.
That's the culture now.
Yeah.
You can't have an opinion unless you're a hater. If you got an opinion, you're a hater. So I have one.
You're absolutely right, man. Thank you for you imparting knowledge, man. We are not long off from the 20-year anniversary of Goody Mob's debut album, so we're gonna go to a break from Wally Sparks. We're gonna come back and talk about that, as well as Zaga, December 9th.
And think about it, man. Soul Food, you can put that record out right now and it still match with what's going on today.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Hey, man, I did my job.
No doubt. You listen to Day One Radio on ABLRadio.com.
You cannot be who you need to be until you can understand who you want to become. That's all I want people to understand about Father Time.
You tell them, man, you ain't got to grow up, but you got to grow older.
You gotta know where you come from, too.
Got to.
It's like these kids, it's more followers out here, no leaders. We're the leaders. No leaders. As soon as a trend, as soon as these kids see something on TV, I think when we grew up, as soon as we saw something new, we were looking to start something else new. These kids look, whatever people do every night on the internet and instantly bite it. That was rule number one in our hip-hop book. No biting. But since there's no rules anymore, like brother say, it's anarchy.
All y'all are biters. All y'all moves are whack. Y'all know where that come from? Yeah. That's Beat Street. Beat Street. Yeah.
And Lil Lee.
That's why right now, music itself is suffering, and especially urban music. There, in a minute, it will be no urban department. It will be just pop music. And once this shit turn to all pop, man, we doomed, man. Because that's nothing but fantasy, plastic, and not real.
Fantasy at its finest. But then let's talk about that. Let's talk about real and make-believe. Because it ain't fake. Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, you know, like, let me think of a cool pop song. Let's listen how to set up the Bruno Mars record. You repeat that cadence twice, then oh, and I'm shouting him out because I love this record. Treasure, you feel me? But then they gonna make Meek Mill rap his heart out for free. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like 30 bars. You know what I'm saying? Like for free on a mixtape. You know what I'm saying? Like to get hot. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and then you get the major deal off of the acknowledgement of a talent, but then we have lost the art of song structure and conceptualizing complete thoughts as far as albums, long play. You know what I mean? Like events, epic sagas. You know what I mean? You feel me?
Is there anything different about being together as men now, like as compared to when you made Soul Food?
Well, I just think we were younger, fresh out the streets. Still kept a lot of negative influences around us, and we had to learn by trial and error what was good and what was bad for us. Us being men now, we can dead problems or see situations before it happens. You know what I mean? Before something agitates us to have to relieve ourselves of the situation, we could see it coming and have that conversation. You know, when you're young, you just kind of go off emotions. And I think all of us as men, now that we got kids, it helps us have to sit back and think about what we're going to say before we say it. We carry ourselves a little bit different.
Our circles are small, it's sucker free, and the grass cut low. A snake can't even sneeze.
Much more strategic and calculated. Definitely.
And think about it, most of us, we were taught hip hop from men.
That's right.
The Message, Melly Mel, those were men. Grandmaster, I mean, hey man,
True.
all them were men. You know, from Dougie Fresh, he was a man. From Curtis Blow, they were men. They weren't little kids doing music. So that's why I feel like we were inbred with it. We can't change it. I don't know how to do a kid song.
Me either.
I don't know how to do it. It was. I mean, for a long time, it was hard for Goodie to even go in the studio and think about making a club song. It's like club song, and especially when you listen to Chuck D, have your teenage career, which that was me. I listened to Chuck. I learned more from Chuck D than I learned from school at the time. You know, like I learned. I didn't know who Minister Farrakhan was until I heard him say it. So to learn that much stuff from a person like Chuck D, it is very, very hard to revert your mind to an adolescent way of thinking when you're making a record. For when an A&R tells you, aren't you going to make anything for the kids in the club? Nope, I don't know how to. I don't know how to revert my thinking.
And see, it's veiled. Like, it's not worded that you're making music for an adolescent or you're being adolescent, in your action. They say they try to make it more accessible.